From the Detroit Free Press, in the heart of the Motor City, it's Tuesday, August 25th. Here are today's top stories, presented by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Bush's has over 4,000 Michigan products, including the freshest fruit and vegetables, meat, seafood, and baked goods. Stop by one of Bush's 16 locations for the personal service you expect from your neighborhood grocer.
I'm Frank Witzel with the Detroit Free Press. As it turned out, reports of her untimely death were greatly exaggerated. Tamisha Beauchamp, a 20-year-old Southfield woman who had been pronounced dead early Saturday morning after a heart attack, was taken to a Detroit funeral home, where staff found she was in fact not dead, but still very much alive. And now, well-known plaintiff's attorney Jeffrey Feiger is representing her. He has won more than 165 verdicts and settlements of at least $1 million. Southfield officials tried to explain the error later that same day in an announcement that was sent on behalf of the city's fire chief under the unusual and understated subject line, "Mistaken Pronouncement of Death." But even then, that later required a correction. According to Southfield Fire Department, paramedics responded to a 911 call. A woman was not breathing. They performed CPR and tried to revive her, but after 30 minutes, they concluded she likely was no longer alive. Following procedures, the paramedics also contacted the Oakland County Medical Examiner's office. But later, the fire department clarified in a statement that a local emergency department physician pronounced Beauchamp dead. The body was released to her family to make funeral arrangements. James H. Cole Funeral Home in Detroit confirmed it picked up the body hours later. But at the funeral home, employees saw her chest was rising and falling and the woman was still breathing.
This is Chanel Stitt from the Detroit Free Press. Contractor and rapper Alonzo Ramon, better known as King Yachty, was thriving in the rap community and was on his way to earning a record deal. But something stopped him in his rap career. When Yachty arrived to his childhood neighborhood in Detroit, he found Archdale Street left in shambles. Trash covered the road, several houses were abandoned, and cars had to drive through a large flood. He immediately wanted to fix it. Yachty gathered a crew called the Black Development and began purchasing homes on Archdale from the Detroit Land Bank Authority. So far with investors, they have been able to purchase 5 homes to renovate. What's also special about the company is that there is a mentorship factor. Young people in the neighborhood see the Block Development crew as brothers and sisters. The kids regularly go learn about home renovation skills and receive mentorship on how to stay out of the streets. Yachty says that the company has plans to renovate as many homes as possible on Archdale and hopes that families will be able to move in soon.
Hi, Liz. Wow, it's Liz.
Liz, oh my God, I forgot what she looked like.
It's the magic of music and technology combined. A group of friends reconnecting online to play the ukulele together, even as the novel coronavirus keeps them apart.
It helps me think of things other than the obvious of being in lockdown, in a high-risk group that doesn't go out easily outside without a lot of protection. It takes away the worry for a while. So time flies when I play the ukulele. I forget about the rest of the world. And it's just a good escape.
Hear the full story on the Detroit Free Press's podcast documenting the pandemic. It's called We Lived It, and it's available on Apple, Spotify, or your Google or Alexa device. Everyone has their own story to share about living through this pandemic. So when you're done listening, please submit your own story at 313-288-0370. That's 313-288-0370.
I'm Susan Tompor, and I'm a columnist with the Detroit Free Press. Did you just get an odd check from the United States Treasury for some quirky amount? Maybe $2.26 or something like $10.35? Some super small checks, averaging $18 a pop, began flooding mailboxes in the past week. They're the real deal. The US Treasury and the Internal Revenue Service are sending 13.9 million people interest payments to cover delays in federal income tax refunds for the past year. Most interest payments will be issued separately from the tax refunds themselves. You might have already received that tax refund, or you could still be waiting. Most of these small payments will be made via direct deposit, but nearly 2 million people will receive small checks in the mail. The check will say INT on the left-hand corner for interest. And guess what? The interest payments are taxable according to the Internal Revenue Service. The IRS will send a 1099 INT to anyone who receives interest totaling at least $10. Nothing, of course, has sounded normal this year when it comes to taxes, refunds, and stimulus payments.
This is Orion Sang, Michigan basketball reporter with the Detroit Free Press. Michigan basketball fans might have experienced a bit of deja vu on Monday afternoon when ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reported that NBA teams had interest in head coach Juwan Howard. Of course, the report comes just over 1 year after former coach John Beilein, the winningest coach in program history, left to become the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. However, Howard was quick to shoot down ESPN's report on Monday. He released a statement just over an hour later that stated he is not exploring, seeking, or listening to NBA teams. The former Fab Five star and longtime NBA player and assistant coach is now entering his second season at the helm of Michigan after posting a 19-12 record in his first abbreviated season. His son, Jace, is joining the team as a freshman and will play under his father this season.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.